I saw this headline recently. I had to agree. The Walking Dead creator's strongest character is a harsh reminder that Carl's death was a huge mistake. Yeah. So Robert Kirkman created The Walking Dead comic book, which led into the series. And Carl Grimes, played by Chandler Riggs, Carl Grimes was in the whole series. He was in it throughout. Um, but in the series, they end up killing off Carl, which never made sense to me. And towards the end, because Carl had a little sister, Judith, who was the daughter of Rick Grimes and Lori Grimes, or Shane and Lori Grimes, they uplifted Judith where Carl was wearing his dad's sheriff's hat. Judith started wearing the sheriff's hat. And Judith was fine, but she wasn't Carl. And part of me feels like, because if I remember correctly, like Daryl Dixon, played by the great Norman Reedus, Daryl Dixon wasn't in the comic books. And sometimes I feel like some of the stuff that Daryl Dixon's got into probably should have been Carl's. And I always felt bad for Chandler Riggs, because Chandler Riggs, when the show first started, when he was little Carl, he was annoying because he kept on getting in trouble. He kept on getting these situations where you feel like, can't we just kill off this kid? What purpose does he serve? But as he got older and Chandler matured and became a teenager, it's like, okay, Chandler's actually the real deal. And they did the whole thing. Like in the comic books, Carl got shot in the eye, and he did the whole thing with the eye. And there's the infamous scene with Carl eating the pudding. And it was a great father-son relationship between, Andy Lincoln and Chandler Riggs, as father's son, Rick Grimes and Carl Grimes. It was fantastic. And one of the underrated aspects of the show that I think would have played out even greater is Carl's relationship with his father, Rick, but also with Negan. In a lot of ways, Rick was his dad. He loved his father. But Negan, take charge type attitude at times, is something that Carl kind of embraced in a lot of ways. And that whole is almost like Professor X and Magneto. Like I would have loved to seen how Carl would have interacted with both of those men who are important to him on the show as he's gotten older. And one of the most underrated storylines of the show was when they were in the prison, and Carl, because he grew up in this world where he was just constantly killing zombies, he got into a point where he wasn't just only killing zombies, he was starting to kill people. And Rick Grimes was like, I can't turn my son into a killer. And he really molded Carl to make sure that he knows the difference. Like, I don't want you to kill everybody. I just want you to kill these zombies. And when you see like different kids throughout the series, they're a full-blown natural-born killers because this is the world they grew up in, and almost anything that moves gets shot. And that's such an underrated aspect of that Rick saved his son from being a full-fledged killer. And I think we skip over that. And I just missed it. I missed that dynamic between father and son. The Walking Dead got into a situation where there was a lot of women on the show, and there's uplifting women, which is totally fine. But at the same time, they kind of sacrificed some of the male characters, like Carl. Tyrese was he was that dude in the comic books, and he made him kind of soft. And I felt bad for Chandler because he was a smart kid, and he just realized, like, he saw a bunch of talented actors and really good characters get knocked off. And he's like, I know in the comic books Carl lives. And he went to the writers and he said, listen, are you guys going to kill me off? Because I think he actually ended up moving down there and bought a house or something. And they said, hey, buddy, everything is good. And they lied to him and they killed him off, which proves to me that Andy Lincoln, as great as he is, didn't have as much power on the show that we had hoped. Because I'm sure if Andrew Lincoln had a lot of power, I don't think he would have allowed them to kill off Carl. He might have sacrificed another character to save Chandler on the show. So what do you think of this headline? That the Walking Dead creator's strongest character is a harsh reminder that Carl's death was a huge mistake. Do you think Carl's death on The Walking Dead was a huge mistake? Or was there another character that you thought should have been saved? Leave your comments below.